calling this meeting to order Wednesday, August 23rd, work session convening at 6:06 p.m. So first off on the agenda for our work session is reviewing proposed policies. Policy 2023-01, inclement weather revisions.
First, board members, I wasn't sure how I feel about moving from Mondays to Wednesdays, but I close on Wednesdays anyway, so this is probably. So thank you. I didn't come to work at 5. I think we're fine now. Thank you, though. On the inclement weather policy, we're proposing that we update it in light of receiving a grant from the state to upgrade our HVAC system and have scrubbers. And so we're proposing that we change the name to inclement weather and environmental hazards policy. It doesn't read that exactly on your draft in the work session because I couldn't fit it all in there, but it is on the final draft that you'll see on your business meeting. So we just added language and you can see where we changed things. Procedures for inclement weather and environmental hazards, including smoke and heat related situations. And so you'll see that language through there. What we tried to do is clarify what happens in this building versus what happens outside versus what happens at 598 buildings, because we have different protocols for each of those different situations. So first, we wanted to make it really clear and just put it up front that with smoke, employees that have pre-existing health conditions are encouraged to stay home if it's going to be a hazard to their health. We just wanted to put that out there. And then we go right into activities at the Madras Aquatic Center. And we have a little bit of procedure about or explanation about our system, that it's an open system that we bring air in from outside. And so we added this language due to a grant received by the State of Oregon Department of Human Services. The outdoor air brought in through the system passes through scrubbers that create a higher air quality in the building. So when outdoor AQI reaches 150, staff is going to do these two things. We're going to reduce the amount of external air by adjusting our vents to 70%, which we've been doing since the smoke started. And then we're going to communicate via social media and the website that if the outdoor AQI reaches 200, people can come and drop in for free. So the first time that this happened was Wednesday last week. We got over 200. We had 47 drop-ins who got to swim for free due to the air quality. Did they know it? They did not, and they were very happy and surprised. For the record, Teresa just walked in. And we took a bunch of pictures and it was a really great, I think people had a lot of fun. And we had, I think 160, we had a full swim on that particular day. We haven't gone over 200 since, although it's been close. And we are using this aqicn.org website for tracking air quality. We into the policy plugged our little visual that we have on Facebook up on the screen on the scoreboard, and that we were putting on social media. And then we took out all the stuff about we have to close when it gets over 150, which is great because now we can stay open. So that's all of the crossed out stuff. Outdoor program procedures, we are remaining consistent with what we had before. When AQI reaches 100, we try and either move indoors or reschedule the activity. That's consistent with what the state requires that we do. It's the same policy that Bend Park and Rec has. And then, so we'll communicate that when we reach 80. We'll start proactively talking with patrons and figuring out how we can move or cancel. And usually we know before it hits 80 based on the fire activity, what the last few days have been and all that kind of stuff. We're going to make every effort to call impacted patrons for activities that were scheduled, and then depending on the severity of the air quality, let them know if it's just that day it'll be canceled or more days then. And then we'll try and reschedule, but if we can't, then we will refund commensurate with cancellations. So for example, if we have a Saturday where we have Flag to the Fall, and that Saturday is canceled, then we'll refund 1/6 of the cost of participating in the program if they're gonna miss that day, if we can't reschedule it to the other end. So rescheduling is always the first choice, but we can always refund if we need to as well.
Courtney, I'm sorry, for refunds, if somebody elects to stay home and not attend because of their own sensitivities, would you offer or provide a refund if asked, or?
No, it would depend on the situation. So if it was swim lessons, for as an example, if it was before swim lessons started, we would probably refund them. If they were into their 4th or 5th lesson out of 6, we probably wouldn't. So the answer is yeah. And then we didn't change anything as it relates to heat. That stays consistent with state law. And then activities indoor and outdoor at 509J. So this is a new section because we wanted to put in policy how we work with our 509J partners. And basically we just do whatever they're doing. So if they cancel all of their sports activities, that means that they're closing their facilities and we can't use them. So, and same language about refunds commensurate with the time lost and or trying to reschedule. And that's it. Those are the changes that are in this proposed update. Does anybody have any questions?
Moving on to the standing updates.
Okay, so as some of you know, we had a boiler basically explode kind of and flood the room, and it was flooding into the pit where we have our pumps and stuff in the back room. So BC Mechanical, I want to on the record say they've been amazing to work with. They redirected a staff member to come up and look at it. And Greg, the week before, had already noticed it was leaking and they had come out. So they had a quote for us to fix it, $7,300. And so I signed that, we got it moving, and they were here today replacing it. So for the last few days, our pools have been colder than normal because we've been operating on 1 of our 2 boilers. We've had some complaints, but on the whole, everybody's been pretty good about it. Today we let littles get into the hot tub for a minute to warm up because they, you know, their lips were turning blue and they were a little chilly if they were sitting and not being active in the pools. But that should be resolved now. So unanticipated boiler issue. We are prepared for the closure September 5th through 18th. We had a bit of a change in plans that I wanted to make you aware of. Greg identified that we needed to replace our covers at the bottom of the pools because of Virginia Graham Baker laws. They have to be replaced every 5 years, and we're at that point. So we will be draining the pools at the beginning of the 2-week closure. We're going to take that opportunity to really deep clean the pools, maybe try and replace some tiles around the lazy river because there are pretty big tiles that have come off. And we will be able to refill them and have them warm up in time for us to reopen on the 19th. So we also were able to reprioritize projects, so we're still within budget for what we had planned for this particular closure. So wanted to make you aware of that. The other project that we're working on that I don't know if we're going to be able to do it by the end of the September closure is redoing our signage so that it's all in English and Spanish, and getting some new signage for rules at the rope swing and the diving board, and kind of sprucing up the spa signage as well. So the goal is that everything will be in English and Spanish. We've noticed an uptick in Spanish speakers, and the guards they're blowing their whistles like crazy, trying to get people to walk, trying to get people out of the slide pool, and we don't have the rules in that language, then it creates a challenge for everyone. So that's one thing we're planning on doing. The other thing that we're looking at doing is creating some sort of welcome sign in our 3 languages from the Confederate Tribes of Warm Springs, and in Spanish and English, and it'll say the MAC welcomes all. And so I worked with Culture and Heritage in Warm Springs, and they sent me that in the 3 languages, and then I got the Spanish version, which I actually. And so we were talking about doing a window treatment at the front rather than trying to do like a standing sign or something. So that is something that is in progress. And I think is there anything else for the closure that you would add?
No, not that we've already discussed.
And then master plan project, reminder that we've got our visioning workshop on Thursday, September 7th at 4 o'clock. And then we will have an executive session following that. Jeremy Green, our attorney, is going to join us for that. And that's going to be a review of the cost analysis that I've been conducting on how we can save money. We have to cut some costs based on our financial position. So that's going to be happening on September 7th at 4.
Any questions or discussion? In the session? Sure. Okay, I'm closing the work session at 6:17 and opening the business meeting at 6:17. For roll call, Chair Siebel, present. Vice Chair Foster Grego. Secretary Treasurer McCloskey, present. Board Member Seppa, present. And Board Member Lewis is absent. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. And our land acknowledgement. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to make the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. In Central Oregon, we are standing on the ancestral lands of the Wascow, Warm Springs, and Paiute people. We pay respect to their elders, past and present. Okay, next we are looking for adoption of the agenda. Any second? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Agenda is adopted as presented. Moving on to correspondence.
There's quite a bit in the packet. So first, our Google reviews. We had a gentleman say, very impressive, complete aquatic center, a real gem for the community. And then we also got a 5-star. So I noticed that our reviews, we've gone from 4 to 4.5 stars in the last year. So, yay, moving in the right direction. And then our Facebook Insights, and I need to do some research on better data to provide to you because I'm not sure this is useful in a vacuum. Like there's not a comparison, so I have to look at it. How to get some more and better data, but our posts reach was 4,300 and engagement was 2,100. We've had a lot more activity recently. Waylon, who's our marketing intern, put together a schedule for the month, and then Sean and I look at it and make sure that the timing works. For example, we've been posting about our toddler programming that's going to start happening in October. We've already got 5 or 6 kiddos signed up for it. So I think right now it's a real exciting thing that we're doing that people think are reacting to positively. The Warm Springs Library staff came in and asked if we could donate some free swims to them. And so they had asked for 10 free swims. And I said, well, what if I give you some buy one, get me free? I can give you more of those. So we gave them 35 BOGO cards. And we talked about potentially partnering in the future. So there. Next is a letter that all public agencies received from the state of Oregon regarding some changes to legislation regarding audits. It doesn't really impact us because we already have to have an audit, but it just made it so that a lot more small districts don't have to do that. It does take a lot of work. And so it's just a notice that everybody got about that. and talks about all the different law changes and the types of audits. And so, like I said, and our fee, the fee did go up for us. So we are between 1 and 5 million. So our annual fee will be 350, and I think it was 250 last year. So everything is. And then the next thing is that Payne West is our insurance broker, and they help us with the process of renewing our liability insurance with SDIS, and then also on our health insurance. And they have merged with, and they're changing their name to Marsh McLennan Agency. So this is a notice we received, and I just wanted you to be aware of that change. The next piece in your correspondence is a letter from the MAC Trust outlining the level of scholarships that they're able to fund this year. This is part of the conversation that I want to include with the board when we talk about our financial position, because last year we had grant funding that subsidized scholarships pretty heavily, and we still used about $12,000 from the MAC Trust. For this year, they've allocated $4,000 to us for scholarships. So I've got 2 grant applications out there specifically for scholarships. And then, you know, it may be a situation where we want to allocate some of our general fund for that. It's a conversation that the board can have at a future meeting, but I just wanted you to know this is about 1/3 of what we've used in the past.
I just want to chime in as a representative of MAC Trust. It's not that we decreased because for any reason other than we just don't have the money right now. There hasn't been fundraising happening for COVID. We kept supplying but not replenishing, so we're down to 1 fundraiser a year now. We're working on strategizing how we can get more going, but this just about taps us out. Doing this 4,000 plus the 1,000 for MST.
So is it gonna continue, is the MAC Trust Board gonna still stay or still?
Yes,
exist?
yeah. We've got MAC Bash planning for this year, and we're going to look to see what else we can add to it. Because it's sort of a little right now, so.
Yeah. And then I've been in talking with Jared, they've kind of given me permission to apply for grants because they don't have staff. So I have applied for a couple for the MAC. Because a lot of those funds we aren't eligible for as a government agency, so they're partnering with us to do that. So hopefully we get awarded something for scholarships. And then in addition to the MAC Trust, we also have the Kemper, Carlos Kemper Swim Scholarship Fund that has 2,500 in it. So we're going to start using this. I wanted to share this next one with the board. We have a staff member, Sam. I don't know if all of you had a chance to meet him. He's one of our custodians. He's been working for years trying to figure out how he can get involved in disability advocacy in Japan. And I've spent a lot of time talking with him about how to create a nonprofit or find a nonprofit to help you and all these things. And he's just got this real passion for it. And so he is working with Kiwanis and with the Opportunity Foundation and putting on this dance as a fundraiser to try and get folks excited about talking about disability awareness. So I'm really proud of him. I think this was a huge step for him. And so I wanted you to be aware of the good work that our staff members do too outside of work. And that is all the correspondence that I have.
Staff, we have the visitor section / public comment. Seeing no guests in the room, do we have anyone online? Okay, then moving on to financial reports.
Okay, so I do have the July financials for you. I was unable to get the file to our treasurer until today, so they will be on your September 27th board meeting for acknowledgement, but I did want to go through them with you today. So the balance sheet for July 31st shows that we're down about 40-ish, 36.8% on our cash from the prior year. Part of that is we had a $120,000 grant last summer that helped us And part of that is that I would just say that our ending fund balance from last year going into this year was about 35,000. So all those things are adding up. Accounts receivable is down because last year we had invoiced the school district for their contribution toward the scoreboard for $15,000 during July. So that's why you see that big difference between this July and last July on accounts receivable. And one thing to note, which I think shouldn't surprise anyone, is that our property tax receivables are up about 20%. And that's because we had poor collections last year. So during July and August, we update the receivable on the balance sheet because it shows how much people owe still. And we count that as an asset because it's money that eventually will come to us. And that's up 20%. So that means that's 20% of revenue we didn't get on our balance, on our profit and loss statement. Does that make sense? So that reflects what we knew when that collections were down. Accounts payable is down, so that's good. That's when we go to liabilities, we want to see negative numbers. And our credit card spending is down because we don't have that grant. Last year we spent a lot of money through that grant. Next section is all of our active liabilities, and I just wanted to highlight that our punch card liability is up. So I'll just remind the board, a couple years ago, we had like $40,000 of punch card liability because they had never expired old punch cards. And so at that point we said, okay, punch cards are going to be good for the fiscal year, and we're not going to carry them over. Well, about 6 months into that, patrons started saying, well, I can't use this within that time period. Why? So we said, okay, it'll be eligible. You can keep it 365 days, so 1 year from the date of purchase instead of, so we made a change, and that's why you see that punch cards are up. We have a better way of tracking it now, and they do expire within 365 days. So we're not carrying some liability from 10 years ago anymore. It's truly the number of punch cards that people have on their accounts. I'm excited to share that our payroll liabilities are down 15%. Shauna's been really vigilant about sending people home if we don't have enough patrons here, and trying to staff to what we expect instead of staffing for a full house. And that's really helped us with our payroll. And then I've been doing the same thing with the front desk as well. Accrued vacations are down 19% because staff are taking vacations, which is how it should be. So that's good. And so that's our balance sheet. And then I'm going to go to our July profit and loss, and I just want to point a few things out. Our beginning fund balance is estimated at this point to be about 41. It could still change because the auditors have to do their thing. Can you let Janelle in, please, on the Zoom? Thank you. The pool's not open. We have a meeting that happens, Narcotics Anonymous meeting every Wednesday. Hi, Janelle. So our beginning fund balance is about 50% of what we expected. Memberships are up 138.5% over what we anticipated. Facility revenues are up. Aquatics programs are up. We had a much lower than expected flag football registration in July. So we'll see what August looks like. Shauna said the numbers are lower than last year. We don't know why that is, but we will be looking at that because we go forward. Soccer has been going gangbusters, so that registration. But overall, our programs and services revenue was at 104% of budget for July, which is good. Our interest is double what we thought it would be, and that's just because interest, you can kind of just guess when you're doing budgeting. So overall, our budget was 123,000, and our revenue was 89,000, and most of that is the beginning fund balance being so much lower than we thought it would be. Going down through expenses, personnel was at 73% of budget, so we are saving money there. Materials and services. Get us down there. First, I wanted to point out, we got our sewer bill, and it was, I think I told you all this at our last meeting, it was $3,800. I talked with the city, and they ended up using the 3 months before our week started, so our bill is $1,800. Which is still more than what we budgeted, but it's not $3,800. So I think them for looking at before the week, because that really would have just killed our budget. We didn't have to pay that much. So you see that we didn't pay that bill in July. I just got a call a couple days ago from them, and they know that it's coming late. Overall, our materials and services were at 76%, so that's good. We still spent $134,000 this month. So I think I can't stress enough how important the conversation is that we're going to have in September about cost cutting as we look at getting through the Jason months. And I sent an email to you with the Jason analysis. I'm sorry I forgot to put it in the board. Me trying to get but if you had a chance to look at that, I mean, the most important thing for me, let me see if I can.
In on the bottom right corner.
Thank you. The most important thing that I look at on this particular document is, okay, we used $86,000 of our carry forward in July. And so when you look at October, we're down to $3,800 of cash by the end of October based on my projections, which is not, I mean, we just, we can't be there. And then when you look at the projections through the rest of the fiscal year, we end the fiscal year $5,000 in the red. So something has to change. And like I said, we'll be having that conversation in September. And staff has, I've worked to present you with as many options as possible and the best analysis that I can give you so that you can make a good decision about that. I think, oh no, and then I included the next iteration, because as I've told you many times, our June 30 fiscal year end is a draft until the audit's done, but this is the most up-to-date version based on the adjustments that we made through the end of the fiscal year through August. And that's where that $41,514 fund balance becomes our beginning fund balance for this current year. Does anybody have any questions?
There are no questions. We will look for a motion on the consent agenda. Anyone second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Expel, any opposed? Consent agenda as presented passes. Okay, then we are looking now for a motion on the proposed revisions to policy 2023-01, income and weather and environmental hazards.
I make the motion to approve revisions to policy 2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Janelle. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes. Next, we have the executive director report.
Zooming down to the all right. Don't say it till it's over. Okay, so few things to report. We hired a recreation supervisor. And he's awesome. Chris has a background in sports and he is just jumping with both feet. Sean said that she asked him to do rosters for fall sports and he just did it. She didn't have to, he just went in and did it. And you could have knocked her over with a feather. She was very excited. So give him a warm welcome if you get a chance to meet him. And then I already reported on this, but we had our first free swim due to the AQI, and we had over 46 people, and people were thankful. We also moved the golf sports camp into the MAC, and they used the greens to chip into the pool and had a good time with that. So it's nice to have those options. Programming enrollment updates. So as you can see, swim lessons have been doing well. Private lessons have been doing very well. And we've been talking about how we can try and promote those a little bit more. Tackle football is still sitting at 33 players, 2 teams. And I wanted to show you, because of all those great sponsorships, the kids are getting this beautiful jersey that will have their name on the back, and then the sponsors logos will be on the sleeves. So I wanted to pass this around so you can feel, and it's reversible. So it's white and blue on the inside. White and blue on the inside.
red.
Go ahead and do it. Show everybody outside. Oh, there we go. This is for tackle. So we're going to be trying to find someone to sponsor volleyball, because we really want to get new club volleyball jerseys that are like this, because the quality is just so much better. So if you know of anyone that, Shauna said it's about $3,000 to sponsor the jerseys. So if you know of anybody, we're hoping to do that. And then summer youth camps just kind of blew up. We've got 12 this week in art camp, and they're having a great time. Toddler activities, as I mentioned, is just going gangbusters. And then as of the time of this report, we had 136 signed up for youth soccer and 41 signed up for youth flag football. Last year, I think we had 160 for youth flag football. So I don't know what happened. I don't know why the registration's gone down, but we did extend registration through this weekend. So we'll see if that.
Seems really weird.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be the difference in work.
Well, that was the first thought was, is it because of that? But it's
And that's only in that one age group.
Mhm.
That's all total.
every age group.
Like, I think that's- It's like the only one that doesn't really up. And it was.
And it went down by quite a bit. So we're talking about what that means, if we need to look at doing something different.
The only thing I can think of is all the weird like, coaching moves. You know.
In spring.
Did they?
I guess that was the big, it's the only thing that really happened. A lot of people not coaches and age groups, right? I can't think of anything else.
We talked about calling families and just saying, hey, we noticed your kid didn't sign up for fall flag. We just wondered if you'd be willing to share with us why, and just do sort of a poll to see.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to share with you some membership statistics because I know you guys are always interested in seeing where we are with membership. And this is fiscal year over fiscal year. So it looks at July 2020 to June 2021. And the first thing I would point out is how many punch cards we have. And that's because those were from 2011, 12, 13, 14. They were all old ones. And so your more accurate numbers are really in the July 21 to 22 and the July 22 to June 2023. And you can see that it's grown a little bit with the monthly youth and the monthly adult. Annual adult is pretty flat. And Fitness RX, you see, has gone down, and that's because we put a moratorium on new memberships until we can find stable funding. I am working with Desk Care in St. Charles to put in an application through the Central Oregon Health Council for funding. And I'm hoping we have a couple other providers that join in on that as partners. And I think that might be my whole. Happy to answer questions if anybody has any.
No questions, board member Hyde?
I was trying to think of,
There's exciting football started, and a fun one to watch everybody tackle football, I think that's going really well. And yeah, the Thursdays is all of it, I think there's just a lot of excitement. On the other. But is there that toddler information is that on the website about those classes?
We're in the process of it. The guide is getting printed right now for school year. So as soon as that's finalized, then we will have all of those things up.
And then is the guide on the website?
Yes.
Okay,
And
because I was
can-
gonna share that. That's something that's always like an ongoing, like working community thing is I hear questions about the harder topics. So I'm really.
I can show you. Guide. Let's cover all of you guys and our awesome staff photo. I love that picture. The library has chosen to buy advertising space as well as OCDC. Our board chair wrote a message. And Best Care also bought a half-page ad.
This could be the book that was like youth school.
Yeah, that we hand out everywhere. Let's see, I'm trying to get to the new stuff. This is all old stuff.
Mailed,
Okay.
I think, to everybody in the district.
Yeah, and it gets mailed to. So for special events, we've got our Red Cross classes through June. Sean is really focused on it. We put out a school year guide, everything's got to be in there during the school year. So we've got our Red Cross classes, our CPR AED first aid classes, kayak roll night and floating green nights, all for our special events. We have a new slew of fitness classes that Amanda and Jen are teaching at different times. We have some Saturdays. We have no evenings at this point. Oh, we do have one evening, the Misfit the Land Beast from 6 to 7 in the evening.
Did you guys ever have this guide?
We did. We only had one person show up for one of them. So it wasn't as well attended as we had hoped. We've added some youth camps during winter break and fall break. We hadn't offered them during those times and people had asked. And so we're doing that. And then we have our spring break camp. So new camps. This is our.
Hey, Courtney, is there like a reminder near the camps or anywhere in this that says scholarships available?
Yeah,
Because the feedback in the community I've gotten to from some people is like pricing, which I compared to like friends that are in Bend, and it's still less than Bend. But
a lot less if you're.
you know our population.
Yes, we do say that scholarships are available, but we only have $1,000 in scholarships for these programs, so we're not promoting it heavily right now because we are waiting to see if we get any funding from some of the grants that we've applied for scholarships with the trust. So for toddler programs, we've got Picasso Kids, different sports for active tots, Little Otters and Tiny Einsteins. So these are all based on feedback received from parents that brought their kids to the other toddler programs.
And so these are like parents stay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And
I was gonna say, with Little Otters, it was a big hit because the parents are learning how they can have their kiddos in the water and teach them while they're, so it's a dual purpose. And we're using that as an opportunity to really promote our group swim lessons as well. Youth sports, we are going to have a recreation volleyball league this year. So Sean was really pushing to have a rec league. So we're going to do that as well as club volleyball. And then youth basketball and spring youth flag football. And then all of our sponsors for tackle. And then when we'll have 5th and 6th grade tackle registration next year. So some of the feedback we got is, wow, we're not thinking about it in April for what they're gonna do in the fall, but because of the equipment and all the things that we have to do, the registration really does have to happen before July 5th. So we're hoping by putting it in here, it puts it on people's radar. And then all the fall for 2024, because Sean is all about planning ahead. And then all the normal stuff after that. So the new toddler page that's the new thing that's in here. And it's been a big hit. Sorry, I sidelined the highlights.
Oh, that was it.
Portion of the
That was my
agenda.
main one, was just nice, like a new, like, starting out with another one that had been like, in the works, I think. People are just like, another club-ish sports. Been fun to watch. And it's just getting started, other than the weather, they can't ever practice. We got a lot of messages.
Yeah.
A lot of communication, so Chris is really awesome. That's my feedback of so far.
If you got your file, so you get to.
And that went really well. We had a pretty big turnout, a lot more people than I expected. And it was just 3 simple questions, and it was just really nice to hear all the feedback. I think in our community, we get so, one of the times used to not being heard, so when stuff like that, you get best. But it was just opposite of that. It wasn't like, everything, everybody spoke about like what putting on. And then they spoke about like what kind of the humanitarian it was like not, I don't want to say negative, because negative, but it was just really good to and I invited them to and then I wanted to ask you, Sydney, I remember you there was a committee that
So we've got the master plan committee. At one point, we had a programming group that we got together, but that ended when we finished that part of the project.
okay. I do have, I did not even.
We'll find a way.
Okay. Yeah, it was just really nice to hear. The good. So I really enjoyed that. So my highlights were I've been meeting with Courtney, to do planning and strategizing and training, so that's really exciting. I mentioned Mac Trust. We've got a Mac Bash scheduled for November 17th. Mark your calendars. And like I said, we are trying to come up with additional fundraisers that we can do. Kind of tough, small town, lots of groups looking for money. But we're gonna try to find some creative ways to pull in more funds. Oh, I did get a chance to, I was chatting with one of the ladies at Safeway while she was checking me out, and we were talking about the air quality, and I mentioned, did you know that, if you check the AQI.cn, I can't remember if I get it right. Or where to search. And she got very excited about that. She said she helped spread the word, so yeah, check the website and so forth, so yes.
I guess I should have mentioned. You got time to sit down.
It's helpful. Good thing, I was just
reflecting on so many of the changes just since being a board member the time I've been on. And I think a huge one is that, I mean, there's so many, but I get more and more comments from people, like a lot of what I like, of people I don't know necessarily, like it's not like, you know, just the same friends or whatever, same things, but I got, the other day, someone gave me feedback at Taco Bell when I was in the drive-thru, because she recognized me from the pictures that were on shoes, which was found very funny, but I also thought it's just like, it's like looking at through that book, you know, there's just, the whole thing is so different now. Not only do we have all these programs for, you can know who to reach out to, there's like a message from the chick board chair. They're just the professionalism and organization. I just really appreciate it. And I see it, like I used to only hear things from kind of coworkers, and just also another place was at the library. A parent came up to me and they didn't speak much English, but they had recognized also the picture in the thing. And told me some, just like, not really anything, I don't think I even passed one. It was just like, really like going to the pool or something like that. Anyway, I just thought like those kind of interaction things never happened before we had that pamphlet and the pictures. I mean, as much as sometimes like we joke about those things or whatever, it's just really, I think it's that whole thing of knowing people you can talk to, and also just being open to what this, if you're from a place, all feedback, and being like, promoting what we have going on with whoever we talk to.
Okay. Janelle, I just want to check in if you'd like to share anything.
I just had two. Canyon had a great time at his outdoor, I forget what it was even called, outdoor camp or something. So he had a lot of fun swimming and learning, and came home every day with whatever he learned that day. And then this isn't necessarily related exactly to the math, but I ran into Jalissa up in Warm Springs. She helped plan the event up there for the track meet up in Warm Springs, for the youth track meet, and it was super fun, and my kids loved it, and it was fun seeing her there putting on that event. And I thought it was really neat.
Does anyone else have anything for the group while we're together? Any kind of group activity?
You send it to me. I don't know. I'll look at the timing and stuff and see it, because schedules aren't out.
Yeah.
It might be tricky, but I'll look at it. Thank you. Yeah, that's a really cool event. I've encouraged. You know, it's a booth. Over 1,000 people come. It's really fun.
Okay, anything else? And we will adjourn this meeting at 6:55.